With Escape from Tarkov's patch .14 came entirely new recoil and armor systems, completely rethinking the way we approach choosing and building guns. So today, I'll be giving you 5 builds that I believe to be the best balance of budget and effectiveness for lower levels in EFT. For each of these builds, I suggest having level 2 traders as well as flea market. Before we get into it, you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/GiantBoostsock or on TikTok under the same name. First up, let's talk about the G36C. The G36 can be purchased at Peacekeeper level 2 for 491 USD, which is equal to around 69,000 rubles. Last wipe, I loved this gun throughout my earlier levels as it felt like it was basically a 5.56 SMG. It had low recoil and didn't require many modifications at all, so it was easy to keep the price low. This wipe, the gun still performs extremely well with even better feeling recoil, still requiring very little modification. The big difference this wipe is with ammo. At level 2 traders, the best round you can access for 5.56 is FMJ from Peacekeeper, but this isn't really a problem at all, as you'll see with all these guns moving forward. Despite most accessible ammos having lower penetration values, armor covers much less surface area than in the past, so you're more likely to be hitting unarmored areas on your enemies the majority of the time anyways. Time to kill feels extremely fast now, and while I'm not going to get into whether that's a good thing or a bad thing in this video, it does work out well for our low pen, high flesh damage ammos we have access to at lower trader levels. For modifications to our build, we aren't going to be adding much. You can purchase your choice of reflex sight and add a rail for a tactical device. I prefer using the Balder Pro from Skier level 2 as it provides both a flashlight and a laser for only 9,500 rubles. From Peacekeeper, you'll want either of the Tango Down stubby foregrips. Lastly, you want the QDC flash suppressor kit muzzle brake from Peacekeeper and the associated NT4 suppressor from the flea market, usually sitting around 25 to 30k. I usually check both the prices of the FDE and the black color variants since their prices can vary pretty drastically sometimes. Altogether, our build comes out at around 130 to 140k. This is the most expensive build on our list today, but by far the most versatile. Final stats sit at 49.5 ergo and 70 vert recoil. Next up, we'll talk about a unique contender, the 45 Vector. In Tarkov's current economy, this is a pretty inexpensive gun to acquire and run. It also feels way better than it did in the past, thanks to the new recoil system. The gun itself can be purchased from the flea market for 40 to 50k, but I've seen it drop as low as 30 at times. For ammo, you'll want to use 45 FMJ from Peacekeeper level 2. I've never seen this ammo more effective than it is now, so again, don't worry about the low pen values. Much like the G36, we aren't going to need to do much modification at all. We'll be using the same Tango Down stubby foregrip, Balder Pro tac device, and reflex sight of choice as before. A trend you'll see pretty consistently throughout this video. On the muzzle, you want to add the Silencer Co. Omega 45K thread adapter from Mechanic, as well as the Omega 45 suppressor, which you want to purchase from the flea. It can be purchased from Mechanic at level 1, but it's much cheaper on the flea market, usually sitting around 25 to 30k. The 30-round magazines you'll have to barter for from Skier level 2. Each magazine requires 1 pack of Strike cigarettes, which typically fluctuate around 3,000 to 5,000 on the flea. The final price for the build should sit around 120k with stats of 57 ergo and 40 vert recoil. Next is a gun I've raved about plenty of times in the past, the P90. As always, the gun allows for extremely mobile gameplay as it's lightweight with extremely low recoil. The SBR variant can be purchased at Peacekeeper level 2 through a barter trade for 2 military cables. Typically, these sit around 25 to 28k, putting the gun price at a little over 50k. Add your choice of reflex sight and tac device, purchase mags as needed from Peacekeeper, and you have yourself a powerful SMG for a super low price. For ammo, you want to use either SS197SR from Peacekeeper or R37X from Mechanic if you want slightly higher damage at the expense of lower pen. Both of these are rounds I never would have recommended in previous wipes, but again, due to the new armor system, they're completely viable. Altogether, you should be looking at a build price of around 70k with 63 ergo and 43 vert recoil. Up next is a gun that has been pretty effective the last couple wipes, the AKS-74U from Prapor level 1 for 24,000 rubles. There are a couple great things about this gun. First, it's by far the best performing gun in the 545x39 class, especially when you consider how cheap it is to build. Also, ammo for it is everywhere in the game. Pretty much any ammo spawn on any map is guaranteed to have at least a box or two of 545 ammo, and high tier ammo is by no means uncommon at all. For the build, all the parts will be coming from Skier. You're going to want the Pilgrim dust cover, as well as your choice of reflex sight, the B11 handguard, Zenit RK4 foregrip, and your choice of tac device. On the muzzle, you want the Zenit DTK1, and for the stock, the Zenit PT lock and Zenit PT1 stock. Altogether, the entire build should cost around 98,000 rubles. The stats for the build are 65 ergo and 62 vert recoil. For ammo, I'd recommend either T rounds from Prapor level 2 or US from Prapor level 1 if you're looking for a greater recoil reduction. But like I said, ammo for this gun is absolutely everywhere, and you'll probably come across a box of better 545 ammo within the first few minutes of a raid. Lastly, we have a gun that I never used to recommend past the first couple of days of wipe, the PP19 from Prapor level 1. At 21,000 rubles, it's the least expensive gun we have on the list today, both stock and when fully built. Its caliber is 9x19, and with how inexpensive the ammo and mags are, you can carry and spray hundreds of rounds without worrying about burning through money. The recoil is almost non-existent as well, so you can spray a pretty significant distance without worrying about missing your shots. For the build, we'll be purchasing the RS47 handguard from Peacekeeper and the RK4 foregrip from Skier. You can then add the Vityaz SN dust cover from Prapor, and as always, your choice of sight and tack device. Since the build is so cheap, we can bump down the recoil even more by replacing the muzzle brake with the Sega 9 compensator from Jaeger, and bump up the ergo by adding the RP1 charge handle from Skier. If you're tight on cash, this is by far my most recommended build, because it can be a terrifying gun to go up against in close to mid-range. The total cost of the build will be around 80,000 rubles, with stats of 60.5 ergo and 39 vert recoil. And that'll be it for this video. Hopefully these builds make the early game a bit easier for you and give you some more variety of what guns to use at lower trader levels. If you have any questions or suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Or if you have a build that you want to share, I'd love to hear. But thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.